Welcome to my channel. I want to talk a bit about some of the feelings you will feel energetically within you. I want to talk about the Shakti and the Shiva energy. I want to talk about the Kundalini energy and what's going on and what can you expect on this journey. And particularly if you're feeling new and you've been recently, activated on this journey, I want to deep dive into this, but also for those that are further along on their journey in terms of why is this energy so important? What is it? We hear that this is an energetic connection, but what does that even actually mean? So I want to crack into this one today. So welcome, I am Kathleen from Awakening Meraki. Okay, so let's get started here. I'm going to talk from my own personal experience about the energy. And I think what I'll do is I'll just share my own personal journey. It's probably easier because for me personally, I have really struggled with the energy. The energy for me was incredibly intense in terms of how I was feeling it, and I'm not talking about the energy between me and the physical twin. I'm talking about what was going on with me physically. So when I was very first catapulted on this, when I very first met my masculine, I remember very early on, this is the first time we met, by the way, was this electricity bolt going up my spine. I remember the voice recognition and obviously the eye contact. It was all very, very, very profound. And that did I not realize at the time, of course, that was when everything just awakened, right? That is where my life changed. That was the moment. I feel quite emotional about sharing this. That was the moment when my entire reality shifted from the old version of me to the true version of me. And so, what played out from there, and I'm not going to talk about the physical because we all know what goes on in these connections, but in terms of what was going on inside of me is, once the energies repelled, obviously I got catapulted straight into ego death. I felt like my entire soul had been torn in two. And it's just, unless you're on this journey, it's just so hard to describe. And I'd been through pretty horrific pain, but this was different. This felt like I had been literally torn apart. And that longing and that desperation is where this addictive energy, I think, really, because you're just like desperate to pull it all back to you. And the reality is that you can't do that in the 3D. You have to do it internally. You must do this at an energetic level. And somebody wrote on my comments the other day, and I thought it was a really interesting and great comment actually, was I think that the 3D is as important as the 5D. And yes, absolutely, we are here to have a human experience. When I talk about the 3D is not relevant, what I mean by that, just so I can clear this up, is what's playing out. You've got to ignore the behaviors. You've got to ignore the relationships that they potentially go into, or whatever stories that they're telling you around, I don't feel the same as you, and all this, the blocking and the ghosting. It's that stuff that you have to ignore because it can torture you. And this is way deeper than anything in the 3D. This connection is not, it doesn't get built in the 3D. It gets built in the 5D. Okay, and that's why you've got to raise your frequency, elevate, and expand this consciousness so you can really resonate with what I'm saying. And the 3D really comes into play when the masculine starts bringing this into the physical. Anyway, I just wanted to put that as a side note. But so yes, totally agree. It is just as relevant. But at the start of this journey for the feminine polarity, what's most important is going inwards and learning to be the alchemist, because that's now your role. And it takes us a while, some of us longer than others, to really resonate with what we've got to do. And this is why I'm here having such a strong voice, and I share my own personal experience because I know that's where I connect and can relate with people. Anyway, we get this Kundalini activation. That's what that lightning bolt was, right? So now the energy and the Shakti energy, the feminine energy, is moving up. And that energy, it's an intelligent system. It really does know what it needs to do. I always say I was quite lazy in terms of the energy work. Like I would meditate like there was no tomorrow. But ultimately I didn't sit there. Yes, I did chakra meditations, but I didn't actively do breath work. I just allowed this process to kind of organically go through me, because I don't know why, that's just what I did. I don't really have a reason, actually. It's just that's what I did. And the fact that probably I couldn't be bothered doing all the breath work. But hey, that might resonate for some, but for me it didn't. But meditation and just bringing myself, centering myself and settling my mind down was more important, because obviously the mind is going off the charts. So that energy is shifting. It's now you're on this purification process, and it can't go fast. That not fast in terms of how we would like it. And the more you can just settle in and realize that you're now on a completely different journey to what you thought you were on. You are on a spiritual awakening journey for sure. This is impacted, both of you are impacted by this. But, you know, we've got to do this work ourselves. And we as the feminine polarity, irrespective of gender, are the alchemist. That's the role that we're playing. Now, our egos do not appreciate it. It doesn't want to hear it, but it's just the way this journey operates. And their role is to show us and reflect to us where we need to alchemize. Now, that will either happen in the physical, or it will happen in the realms energetically. And so all of our journeys are unique and individual, and they go at the pace that we need for our soul's path and for what we've got to alchemize and clear. Because remember, we've all got different journeys, okay? We've all got different limiting beliefs that we've got to clear. So that energy is going to really start heavily down in the root chakra, the sacral, the root chakra. It's going to really, like that sexual energy, that dense, like that real, like intense lust, like, you know, inappropriate sexual energy has got to come out, because that is not pure divine sexual energy. It feels completely different when it's up through the chakras. So this does need to move. And, you know, it's intense. You know, I can remember being at work and this energy, and I'm like, this is not cool in the workplace. And it's next level, right? So it moves up, and our job is to let it shift up, release that energy how you need to. You don't want to become addicted to it though, because you do want to shift it up. The idea here is we're moving it up the chakras, so our chakras can spin in the right direction and not be stuck. And you'll feel the energy. There's no doubt about it. When it's free flowing, that energy, it moves up and down, and you feel it on the in this channel up here. It's when it's free flowing, you feel that pure divine energy. And it's just a completely different sexual energy. It's not this lower stuff. So it moves up and up and up. We get that heart chakra activation. Now that is divine love. You don't want to shut that thing down, which I've talked about before. But, you know, it is hard, because it's like, where do you put this? You suddenly just want to push it all onto the masculine, but you need to bring it in. You've got to bring the energy back to you. You need to center yourself, because you're like, if you can visualize, I should have a picture. Visualize two humans, right? Two people with bubbles, but then there's this third bubble, and every time you push your energy onto them through the thoughts and the thinking and the wanting and the needing, you're pushing it over here, which means you're pulling away from your soul. That's why they pull away. You need to come back to soul, because soul is not the mind, okay? Well, you've got to learn to use the mind in the way that it was always intended. So that energy just keeps moving. Now, what happens as we progress on this journey is there is definite merges that go on, and it feels like at times energy slamming into you. It's quite an unusual feeling, but you feel it. You get these big jolts of energy. You'll start, and this is why it's an inside journey. That this connection builds on the inside. You feel the love building within your heart chakra. You'll feel the heat coming up through your root, through your sacral, through your solar plexus, up through the heart. You will start to feel the thymus gland get activated, and it's like tapping in the back here. You will start to get this throat activation, your throat chakra. I mean, I can remember really because one of the big things for me was I didn't know how to express myself. And this is why the masculines quite often cannot express themselves, because we don't know how to. And so this journey is about you learning to express yourself. So my throat was, as I was further progressing along this journey, as the energy was rising up, was really getting activated. And then it moves up here, right? And by this point we're now awakening up the Shiva energy, right? The masculine energy. And you may not see a shift in the 3D through this process, but this is why coming inside, feeling into your energy is important. There is a merge that happens up here, your Shiva. So for me personally, when I was very first awakened, I would get this intense energy. It was like piercing into my crown chakra 24/7 for probably about 18 months. Intense. Like it was just horrific. I was so deregulated, so unbalanced, so all over the place. I couldn't get my shit together even if I tried to. And it was just, that's why meditation for me was the biggest thing, and learning to ground. And I was just way up in the 5D for a very long time. But as the masculine energy declare is awakening, and you start to really come into your feminine energy more, you'll feel the masculine coming through. And that's when you start to feel more grounded, and you start to feel more anchored in, and you're like, thank frig for that. I can actually feel like I can function again. You need that masculine to come through. Meanwhile, through this whole journey, obviously, you're getting triggered, you're alchemizing, which I'm going to come back to. But I just wanted to talk more about the energy. You'll feel the pulsating in your third eye. Your masculine, the energy I'm talking energetic, is here. Shiva is protecting his feminine here. So this crown energy just sits, and now for me it cycles, right? Like the figure 8 actually. And it's just this energy. It's not that intense stuff like I felt like icicles were just like piercing into my crown. It's different now. It's because I'm more balanced, stable, and I'm learning, I've learned to balance the mind, the body, and the soul. And that's what we're doing. That is why, yes, the 3D is important. But because you've got to learn to balance this energy within 3D. You can't just live up in 5D all day long. So, the feminine, I'm just referring to she, but remember, we're just talking about energy. She typically works in the 5D, she works in the spiritual realms. That's why you've got to get this energy up so that you can start to really be the alchemist. Your masculine is guiding you. They will be guiding you either in the physical, or they will be guiding you energetically and telepathically. It's when you've got this merged here, the telepathy, it's like it's in your third eye, and it's just there. It's just the most divine and incredible process that we could ever go through. And yeah, at times it's pretty bloody hellish, but I promise it gets easier. Now your role here, what are you alchemizing? Every limiting belief pattern that you have in your energy field has got to be alchemized. And soul will keep bringing it until it's fully alchemized. It will keep revealing layers of that belief pattern until it's fully alchemized. Everything, and I mean everything, every belief pattern that you have about yourself from your family lineage needs to get alchemized. It needs to come into the light so you can see it. Now, I'm not saying it will never impact you again. What I'm saying is you'll become conscious of it, you'll see it, you'll know where it stems from, and you're like, I'm not playing that lesson out anymore. And when it does rise, you'll know how to handle yourself. You really do become so incredibly balanced as you are working through this journey. But the mind wants to look at the physical. The mind wants to get all its reassurance in the physical, and it's not where you go for your reassurance. You come into your energy. You check in as the feminine polarity. Where am I at energetically? Because whatever's playing out in 3D is old, dense you. okay? And so this is why I say what's playing out in 3D is not relevant. What's relevant when you are going through this process is how do you feel energetically? So when you feel that missing, that longing, that will dissipate the more the merge comes back, the more that these energy centers all merge back, because you share, your chakras become fully aligned. Like you just feel it. You feel it right from your root sacral chakra coming all the way up. You'll feel the heat, you'll feel your masculine energy, you'll feel it right coming through up here. Like it's pure divine love. And that is why relationship needs to come off the table. When I now associate a relationship with the twin flame connection or journey, I can't put this into words, and it's not until you're really further along that you'll really get this. It bastardizes what we define as a relationship. This love should not be contained in a container of expectations and conditions. Now, I want to get clear. Will they show up and do things? Yes, they will. Stop worrying about that stuff, okay? I know it's easier said than done. Stop worrying about it. As you shift, you will get it. It will start to fall into alignment. It will start to make sense. But this love should not be contained with expectations and these belief patterns. It should be pure. It should be moving and flowing and just, it's the most beautiful, tender experience that you can have. And so you don't want to put that in a box and go, right, this is what I need. This is what I expect from you. This is what I expect from you based on my history, based on my lineage, based on my belief patterns. Okay? That's control. That's fear. That's programming that we've all been conditioned to. I had a beautiful session in my membership yesterday. We went through a lot of these things. We talked about our mother, right? Irrespective of whether you were raised with your biological mum or not. We talked about the mother and what have we learnt from our mum, and what lessons have we learned? What strengths can we build from? What sacrifices did they make? Because getting into this detail is what makes you see where the heck did all this bloody belief patterns come from. It makes you unpack it and see where it all stems from. This is the detail you've got to get into. You can't ignore this. If you ignore this, soul is going to make your life a little miserable. Not because it doesn't want you to be in misery, right? I know it's incredibly painful at the start of this journey. I get it. But when you do the work, when you just lean in and go, right, I'm going all in, I'm going to do this. It's a new year coming. If you're really over it and you're just struggling and you need support, that is what I'm here to do. That's my purpose. It's my deep calling. It's not something that my ego signed up for. It's what I'm here to do at a soul level. And it's intrinsic in me. And it's such a strong, deep calling that I can't not do this. It's what I'm here to do and to support and help and guide where I can. But unpacking this is incredible. I watched this series on Netflix the other day with my daughter, who's also on this journey, by the way. And she said to me, I think what's being mirrored here is her deception of self. Now, how powerful is that? Now, when I say she's on this journey, she was activated on this journey about 10 years ago, but she's still a long way, got a lot of, she's got her own personal journey to walk. But she knows at a soul level, the things that comes out of her is just so powerful, so incredibly powerful. And even she says relationships should not be tied into contracts. And this is some of the legal background, by the way. So, it's like she just has these very powerful statements, and it shouldn't be. That's not love, that's control, that's fear-mongering. That's how we've been conditioned and programmed. And this is not this connection. It's not this journey. This is about freedom. This is about love at its purest level. This is about expressing yourself, not from your belief patterns and your reactions and your trauma-based belief patterns. It's about expressing who you are, your authenticity, the truth, the beauty that you are, and that will get reflected back to you. This is the truth of this journey, and it's deep. It's incredibly deep. But I wanted to touch on this, this energy that you're going to feel. You're going to go through some deep separations for some of you. Some of them are really necessary. Some can manage this in and out, and it just really depends on your journey. But for some of us, and I've had a mixture of both, the deep separations is the deep work that you're doing. Both of you. You are not separate from your twin, even though in the physical it looks like it, okay? So if you're going through a deep separation and you're really going all in on yourself, trust me, they are doing the same. They can't not, because they reflect. They can only ever be where you're at. It's just that it'll show up in the physical down the track. But you are energetically making those shifts just like that, okay? They mirror you in the moment that you're transmuting and alchemizing. It's just that you then need to integrate. Your soul knows what you need. This journey is about really aligning with soul, trusting your soul. The more you anchor in this energy, the more you have this deep knowing, the more you have this intuition, the more you can just surrender. Surrender is not a one-time deal. It happens over and over and over till you just completely like, oh my God, I just get this journey. Like I don't even need to worry about anything. Surrendering is taking your complete focus off the 3D and learning you're the master. You're mastering you. That you are, you're on a journey of self-mastery. It's profound. It's so deep and it's so profound. So I guess my key uptake today is your measure is your energy, not the physical, okay? And I know it's hard and it's a process, but you will get there, I promise. If you need some help and support, I deep dive into this in my Ascension to Union Masterclass. You get a hell of a lot of support through there because I really am passionate about helping people really learn how to alchemize those old belief patterns. Sending so much love.